Hello, and welcome back to Figgy in the North, the podcast where we travel slowly, look closely, and head just a little bit farther off the beaten path. I'm Figgy, and today we're going deep, literally, into the heart of Iceland. Not the ring road, not the cozy fishing villages, not even the postcard famous waterfalls you've already seen on Instagram. Today, we're talking about Iceland's Highlands, vast, raw, unpredictable, and utterly unforgettable. This is Iceland at its most untamed, a place where the paved roads disappear, the colors don't seem real, and the silence feels alive. If Iceland's coast is the body, the Highlands are the soul. So grab a warm drink, settle in, and let's explore Iceland's wild interior together. What are the Highlands? When people imagine Iceland, they often picture black sand beaches, crashing waves, or maybe a waterfall pouring dramatically into a mossy canyon. But what many travelers don't realize is that most of Iceland's landmass lies inland, rising high above sea level into a rugged volcanic plateau known as the Highlands. The Highlands cover roughly 40% of the country, yet almost no one lives there permanently. Why? Because this region is harsh, remote, and largely inaccessible for much of the year. This is a land shaped by fire and ice in its purest form. Active volcanoes, sprawling lava fields, massive glaciers, and rivers that have no bridges. It's where Iceland reminds you that nature is very much in charge, and that's exactly why it's so magical. A landscape that feels unreal. The first thing people say when they enter the Highlands is, "This doesn't look like Earth." One moment, you're driving through jet black volcanic desert. The next, you're surrounded by rolling hills painted in shades of rust red, sulfur yellow, moss green, and ash gray. Steam rises from the ground. Mountains ripple in strange geometric shapes. Glaciers loom in the distance like frozen oceans. Places like Landmannalaugar, Kerlingarfjöld, Askja, and Thorsmjörk don't just look beautiful, they feel elemental. And unlike the busy stops along the ring road, the Highlands offer something increasingly rare in modern travel: space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to feel very small in the best possible way. The roads less traveled, F-roads. Now let's talk logistics, because the Highlands aren't something you just stumble into. Accessing this region requires traveling on what Iceland calls F-roads. The F stands for fjöll, meaning mountain. And these roads are only open during the summer months, typically from about mid to late June into early September, depending on weather conditions. F-roads are rough, unpaved, and often involve river crossings. No guardrails, no gas stations, no cell service in many areas. This is not just casual sightseeing, it's intentional adventure. But for those who prepare properly, the reward is unparalleled freedom and some of the most dramatic scenery in Europe. What it takes to visit the Highlands and why it matters. Before we go any further, we need to pause for an important reality check. Because visiting Iceland's Highlands isn't just about wanting the adventure. There are real requirements, and understanding them can be the difference between an unforgettable trip and a very expensive mistake. First and foremost, you need a proper 4x4 vehicle with good ground clearance. And I don't mean SUV looking. I mean an actual four-wheel drive vehicle designed for rough terrain. The Highlands are accessed almost entirely by F-roads, and you absolutely need a 4x4 to drive on them. If you try to take a regular two-wheel drive car into the Highlands, you can face high costs, and you're putting yourself and others at serious risk. Ground clearance is just as important as four-wheel drive. Many Highland roads are deeply rutted, rocky, and uneven. A low-clearance vehicle can easily scrape, get stuck, or suffer damage underneath. And that brings us to a very important point about insurance. Almost no rental insurance in Iceland covers undercarriage damage or water damage. Let me say that again because it's critical. Damage from rocks, river crossings, or water entering the engine is typically not covered, even if you buy the full or premium insurance package. Which leads us to river crossings. Many Highland routes involve unbridged river crossings, real rivers flowing straight across the road. There are no bridges, no detours, and often no signs telling you exactly how deep the water is, because it varies, often by the hour. You're expected to assess the crossing yourself. That means understanding how fast the water is moving, how deep it is, and where the safest line across might be. Crossing at the wrong spot or at the wrong angle can flood your engine in seconds. And if that happens, you're responsible for the full cost of the vehicle recovery and repairs, which can be thousands of dollars. This is also why it's absolutely essential to check with your rental company before you go. Not all 4x4s are allowed on all F-roads, and some companies explicitly prohibit certain Highland routes or locations. If you take a vehicle somewhere it's not approved to go, any damage may void your contract entirely. So before heading into the Highlands, confirm which F-roads and regions your rental allows, ask specifically about river crossings, and know your vehicle's limits and your own. The Highlands reward preparation, patience, and respect. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. When you understand the rules of the land, you can explore it safely and confidently. And trust me, when you do it right, the experience is absolutely worth it. Landmannalaugar, color and contrast. Let's start with one of the Highlands' most famous regions, Landmannalaugar. This area is known for its rhyolite mountains, volcanic formations streaked with vivid colors that look like someone took a paintbrush to the earth. Reds, pinks, greens, yellows. It's breathtaking from every angle. Landmannalaugar is also the starting point of the legendary Laugavegur Trail, one of the world's most celebrated multi-day hikes. But even if you're not a long-distance hiker, there are incredible short hikes here that offer panoramic views without requiring expert-level fitness. And then there are the hot springs. After hiking through lava fields and steaming vents, soaking in a naturally warm geothermal pool feels like a gift from the land itself. Steam rises into the cool air, and suddenly you understand why Icelanders believe so deeply in the healing power of nature. Kerlingarfjall, geothermal wonderland. If Landmannalaugar is colorful, Kerlingarfjall is otherworldly. This mountain range sits between two glaciers and is filled with boiling mud pots, fumaroles, and steaming ravines. The ground hisses and bubbles beneath your feet. The air smells faintly of sulfur. It feels alive. Hiking here is like walking through the inner workings of the planet. What makes Kerlingarfjall especially compelling is how few people make the journey. Even in peak summer, you may find yourself alone on the trail, surrounded by nothing but wind, steam, and distant ice. This is the Highlands at their most intimate and most humbling. Askja, remote and powerful. Then there's Askja, a massive volcanic caldera deep in the interior. Askja isn't just remote, it's seriously remote. Getting there requires hours of driving across desolate, desert-like terrain and multiple river crossings. But once you arrive, the payoff is extraordinary. The caldera contains Öskjuvatn, one of Iceland's deepest lakes, alongside Viti, a smaller crater filled with milky blue geothermal water. Standing on the edge of Askja, you feel like you've reached the end of the world, or the beginning of it. This is a place that demands respect. Weather can change rapidly. Navigation is critical. But for travelers seeking a deeper connection with Iceland's raw power, Askja is unforgettable. Thorsmörk, a green oasis. After all that volcanic drama, Thorsmörk feels like a secret sanctuary. Nestled between glaciers and shielded by mountains, Þórsmörk is surprisingly lush. Birch forests, moss-covered hills, winding rivers. It's green, peaceful, and vibrant. Named after the Norse god Thor, this valley is a hiker's paradise, with trails ranging from gentle walks to challenging ridge climbs offering jaw-dropping views. Þórsmörk feels protected, almost nurturing, as if the land itself is offering shelter. It's a powerful contrast to the stark openness of the surrounding highlands. Weather, wilderness, and respect. One thing I want to be very clear about: the highlands demand preparation and respect. Weather can shift from sunshine to snow in minutes. Rivers can swell unexpectedly. Roads can close without warning. This isn't a place for rushing or cutting corners. Before heading into the highlands, travelers should check current road conditions, monitor weather forecasts, carry proper supplies and clothing, and let someone know their route. Iceland's interior is beautiful because it's wild, but that wilderness must be honored and respected. Why the highlands change you. People often return from the highlands quieter than when they arrived. There's something about standing in a place so vast and untouched that it recalibrates your sense of time and importance. You stop thinking in schedules and start thinking in weather, in light, in distance. The highlands remind you that the world is bigger than your plans, and that's a comforting realization. If this episode has sparked your curiosity, if you can already picture those colorful mountains or feel that geothermal steam on your skin, I want to encourage you to take the next step. Start planning, start researching, start dreaming. And if you're enjoying Figgy in the North, here's how you can support the show. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave a review. It truly helps more travelers find us. Share this episode with someone who loves wild places. And follow along on social media under Adventures in Iceland for behind-the-scenes stories, travel tips, and updates. Your support keeps this podcast moving forward, one northern road at a time. Now, before we wrap up, a quick look ahead. In our next episode, we'll tackle something absolutely essential if you're thinking about visiting Iceland, especially the Highlands. Renting a car in Iceland, safety and driving tips. Thank you for spending this time with me and for venturing into Iceland's wild interior through sound and story. Keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep heading north. This is Figgy, and I'll see you next time in the North.